Hi, my name is Gendis Sarajeva.
And my name is Freya Shannizka, and today we're going to be presenting our paper that is titled The Correlation Between Poverty and Climate Change.
Climate change.
But before we can get any further, we feel like we need to explain what is climate change. The levels of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere experienced a very noticeable spike during the Industrial Revolution. We started breaking CO2 levels in the 1950s and we haven't stopped since. Scientists say there is a 95% chance that human activity is the cause. We've been burning fossil fuels such as oil and coal to help us run our homes, cars, businesses, and other means of transportation. And on top of that, our global population has tripled in the past 70 years. And we are also consuming animal products that release another air pollutant called methane. So all those gases get released into the air, and when sunlight gets into the Earth's atmosphere, some of the heat gets trapped and the climate gets warmer.
Climate change poses many different threats to us, but one being the most obvious is natural disasters that come with it. Natural disasters are happening more frequently and more intense. Floods and droughts are occurring everywhere. Many people are affected by the cruel consequences of climate change, but the people living in poverty suffers from it the worst.
In this research, we are curious to find the correlation between poverty and climate change. We used 4 control variables consisting of access to clean water, food security, natural disasters, and agricultural productivity. We used cross-country datasets from 109 countries using the OLS regression method.
We read and reviewed 5 literature from this research. The first one is from Stephen Halligat, Muk Bangalore, Laura Bonzanigo, Marin Fay, Ulf Narlock, Julie Rosenberg, and Adrian Falk-Schilf called Climate Change and Poverty, an Analytical Framework. The second one is from Randolph Barker, Barbara van Kuppen, and Tushar Shah, titled A Global Perspective of Water Scarcity and Poverty.
The third literature we read was written by Will Martin, titled Food Security and Poverty, A Precarious Balance. The next one is written by Alcira Kramer and Margaret Arnold, titled Managing Disaster Risk in Emerging Economies. And the last one is written by Naman Majid, called Reaching Millennium Goals, How Well Does Agricultural Productivity Growth Reduce Poverty?
Based on the first regression model, we found that there is no direct correlation between poverty rates and climate change. According to UNDP Indonesia research in 2007 titled Sisilan Perubahan Iklim, climate change does not directly impact the people living in poverty, but source of income, health, food security, disaster mitigation are the variables that directly affect the poor. From the regression result of 12 model, we can conclude that temperature change has a positive significant relationship with poverty. In this case, it means that if the level of climate change is high, the poverty rate of country will also be high. The regression result for the control variable for access to clean water have a significant positive relationship with poverty. In this case, it means that if a country has access to clean water that is not sufficient, the poverty rate of country tends to be high. Because access to clean water indicates the high and low poverty of a country. The regression results on the control variable for food security have a significant positive relationship with poverty. In this case, the availability of food supply and the ability of every citizen to access them are indications for a country whether that the country is experiencing the threat of hunger or not. If the availability of scarce foodstuffs will increase food prices, so it will have a direct impact on economic activity so that the poverty rate will increase.
The regression results for the natural disaster variable have a significant relationship with poverty. In this case, the natural disaster comes from the impact of the climate change, such as floods, hurricanes, and droughts. The regression result on variable control agricultural productivity have an insignificant relationship or greater than 0.05. In this case, agricultural productivity has a role to meet market needs. Agriculture just focus on how to increase productivity to fulfill the market needs with any increasing in farmers' prosperity. If the needs in the agricultural sectors are met, the poverty rate will decrease. Climate change threatens global poverty reduction efforts and the achievement of Millennium Development Goals. Changes in rainfall patterns will reduce the availability of water for clean water sources. Long droughts and floods will cause crop failure, which greatly affects agricultural productivity. Climate change will affect the poor the most, and groups working in agriculture, forests, and urban areas. However, the only way for us to adapt to climate change is to shift to more sustainable forms of development, learning to live in a way that is in harmony with our environment. Millions of people are likely to suffer worsening food and water shortages. Natural disasters happen more frequently and intense, causing people around the world to lose their homes. We need to change our way of life. Politics need to change. We need to change most things to cap the rising temperatures. In order to stop climate change, we have to be the ones to change the system. We cannot strive for infinite growth in a finite planet.